Sanity is one of the 3 primary stats in the game that must be maintained in order to survive. This episode will focus on sanity. Unlike hunger and health, basic items generally don't restore sanity, making it a very difficult stat to manage. Since sanity reflects the mental state of your character, being forced to survive in a world with danger everywhere can take a toll on you, so there are many ways to lose sanity. Here are some things to keep in mind. Dusk and night gradually deplete your sanity. Daytime is your only respite from sanity loss, so use that time wisely to regenerate as much as possible. Rain and wetness will gradually deplete your sanity as well. Making lower tier items that give water resistance can be very helpful. Most hats give 20% water resistance. If you can't make any items, walking under trees can slow down the wetness, and being near fire can help you dry off. Wearing wet items will also lower your sanity, so if you're just resting by a fire, take off the wet items so you don't drop your sanity even further. Some objects and mobs have an insanity aura. This aura lowers your sanity while you're near them. The insanity aura of some mobs can be powerful enough to completely deplete your sanity in as little as 15 seconds. This means that prolonged fighting near them can cause shadow creatures to begin attacking you, forcing you to fight even more enemies at once. Using and equipping certain items can lower sanity as well. Some items innately have sanity degeneration, but offset those negative effects by having high damage, defense, or other effects. Many types of food will alter your sanity. For example, raw meat will lower sanity when consumed. Spoiled food can also lower your sanity, so don't make too much food at once or they might go to waste. As your sanity decreases, the creepy ambience of the game increases. Additionally, at certain points, survival may become more difficult due to the negative effects. At 65% sanity, night hands will randomly appear at night and attempt to put out your fires. You'll know when a night hand is coming when you hear creepy music playing. You can deter its advances by walking over them. If you follow them all the way to the end of the hand through the darkness, you can get rid of it altogether. As your sanity drops further, multiple night hands may appear at once. At 40% sanity, rabbits transform into beardlings. As beardlings, they have an insanity aura and drop monster meat instead of morsels. Monster meat lowers your health and sanity when consumed by anyone else but Weber. Monster meat can actually be beneficial, as it counts as a large meat instead of a morsel in crockpot recipes. Just make sure you don't use more than one monster meat. Beardlings also drop nightmare fuel and beard hairs, 2 rare items that are required for higher tiered items. Beard hairs are really useful, especially when you're not playing Wilson, because you'll need them for the meat effigy, a structure that revives you if you die. At 15% sanity, shadow creatures become tangible and will attack you. The key to defeating them is to let them attack first, dodge, and then counterattack. Although that's my general advice against most mobs, you don't have a choice in the matter against these mobs. You have to let them strike before they can even be hit. Because of that, and their insanity aura, fighting them can be very tedious and annoying. Prolonged fights will almost always result in multiple creatures spawning, which will force you to micro your character extremely well if you want to survive. Once defeated, shadow creatures will restore some of your sanity and drop nightmare fuel. Restoring sanity, especially in the early game, can be a lot more difficult than losing sanity. Here are some tips for restoring sanity. Prototyping restores 15 sanity. This includes prototyping from researching structures as well as blueprints. In the early game, try not to prototype items unless you actually need them for survival. That way, if you're ever low on sanity, you can prototype something to sustain yourself. Venturing to the desert is almost always worth it. As long as you avoid the hound mounds, you can find some really nice items. In particular, cactus flesh. Cooked cactus flesh restores 15 sanity. Picking cacti will damage you, so wear an armor before doing so to maximize the healing you get from eating the cooked cactus flesh. Green and blue mushrooms can be a great source of sanity. Mushrooms hide underground for most of the day and appear at certain times. Green mushrooms appear at dusk in forests and marshes. Cooked green caps restore 15 sanity but deal 1 damage. Blue mushrooms appear at night in grasslands and marshes. This means that most of the time they can't be accessed unless you're using a light source to find them. Cooked blue caps restore 10 sanity but deal 3 damage. Remember, These mushrooms must be cooked to restore sanity, otherwise they'll restore and reduce other stats instead. Sleeping in a tent or siesta lean-to will restore 50 sanity, but will reduce your hunger by a large chunk. Make sure you have food lying around before you go to sleep, otherwise you might starve. As you become more experienced, these structures become less useful because you'll be using your time more efficiently, and you don't want to waste an entire chunk of the day. Wearing certain items can restore sanity. The easiest one to make is the top hat, which only requires 6 silk. Befriending pigs or bunny men will grant a massive amount of sanity regen while you're near them. This can be done by feeding meat to pigs or carrots to bunny men. As followers, they'll not only give you a sanity aura, but will fight alongside you. If you have any excess meat, feeding pigs can be a good way of getting rid of them in exchange for sanity. Remember that this doesn't work with Weber because he's a spider, and pigs and bunnies hate spiders. Sanity is very complicated, so it's very difficult to cover every single point in a short video. I'll leave a link in the description below for those of you who want more information and details on sanity. Sanity is a very fun mechanic in a survival game. It may take some practice to master the art of managing sanity, but doing so will make surviving much easier because you'll feel like you have complete control of the situation. Thanks for watching, and don't go insane.